Welcome to Hot Springs Village Inside Out, a weekly podcast where Hot Springs Village, Arkansas is the star. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and my co-host Dennis Simpson as we discuss the history, facts, people, places, events, lots more surrounding Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. Visit the website at hotspringsvillageinsideout.com. Today's show is brought to you by Central Arkansas's favorite radio station, KVRE. Find them on the dial at 92.9 FM. Stream them live at kvre.com. Today is 280. Yeah, we're 280 days old. On Friday, February the 25th, 2022, Dennis and I got on a Zoom call. Started kind of having a conversation, cutting up, doing what we do. Decided to hit record, and that's what you're about to hear. Or watch. We appreciate you. All right, as a new property owner. Well, and I've been a property owner now for, I don't know. When
4 months?
No, not quite.
Thanksgiving. Was it Thanksgiving?
So 3 months.
Yeah.
3 months. New property owner. And we get asked all the time by people, to give some insights for people that are interested in moving to the village, for people that have never been to the village, and people that are starting out much like I started out. And I'm still way behind the eight ball, by the way. I mean, there's still a ton of things that I don't know that are interesting to me. But as a new property owner, I've been especially mindful because, well, an election. I've never participated in an election.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not going to this year either, are you now?
No, I'm not. And yeah, I'll be interested to hear your take on this. And while we don't wax political, we're not stupid. There are political events that happen, and do we shy away from those things? That's not the right. I don't think that's the right phrase. Do you? I don't feel like
we just don't take a stance. We're not gonna bury a cross in the ground and go, okay, it's got to be this way.
Yeah, no. And our Facebook group does not behave that way at all. Our audience mostly does not behave that way. I mean, it's interesting to me as we started the podcast, and we are, I don't know, we're 90 to 100 days away from our first anniversary. So we're still super, super young, and I won't belabor it, but another thank you to everybody in the audience, for, the little podcast that could, and who knew we could. We thought we could, but weren't sure, and some days we're still not sure, but here we are. But as a new property owner and trying to understand the whole mechanics of the way the village works, which is still puzzling to me, but you and I had a conversation some days ago. There were a number of candidates who were going to run for the board. One candidate dropped out. Then Chris Jones, he takes a job that's going to eliminate his ability to sit on the board. And then we had an incident with one of the board candidates. And anyway, and all of this was very puzzling to me. I will only preface it, and then I'm going to turn the mic over to you. I'll only preface this to say that those of you that have not been to the village, those of you that are looking at the village, those of you that are intrigued by the village, continue to be intrigued. Because who cares about the politics? I've told people before, I mean, until they start draining the lakes and shutting down the golf courses and clear cutting all the woods, I've said who cares. I get it. We care. I don't mean that literally. However, I live in a community in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and our city council is so messed up it's not funny. We've never had a mayor that knew straight up. But I've been here for over 30 years, and it's home, and the schools are good, and the streets are fine, and the water comes on, and the utilities work, and
your trash gets picked up.
I love it. I just don't care. I just don't care. I don't live my life. Those of you that love politics like I love sports, I get it, I guess.
No.
I would tell you, let me introduce you to college football. But if you don't want college football, then I get it. But the election stuff, you know, I've had a ton of questions. I've asked you and Jeff Atkins, who we've had on the show before, a previous board member, multi-time board member, just trying to understand, okay, so the terms, and they come in and they can sit on the board for this length of time. And okay, wait a minute, this other person, they ran at the same time, but they don't serve as long. And it's all just so confusing. So my only preface, all that to say this, my only preface is, don't let any of that jade you or turn you against Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. There you go.
Your community politics, wherever you're listening to this program for, are not that great either.
Well, if they are, let's hear about it, but I'm really not interested.
Email us. We'd love to hear it.
Oh, I don't want to hear about it.
I'm going to remind everybody that I know a guy, actually a customer of mine, and I don't want to get too far off track before we answer some of these questions, but I'll tell you how the whole state of Arkansas works. So there was this guy named Clinton. You may have heard of him. Ran wild, odd. If you look at his candidacy, it was the oddest thing. And by the way, I have been on stage with him. I was actually the music director at a church where he spoke one time. And interesting guy, I'll give you that. But Bill Clinton got elected. Who knew, right? Well, then Jim Guy Tucker steps up to the microphone, and he was the lieutenant governor, which was just a placeholder type deal. Jim Guy Tucker.
Oh,
now, Jim Guy Tucker, nice guy, tall, thin, lean, gray-headed guy now, had kind of sandy blonde at the time. Nice guy. I mean, really nice guy. Got a SBA loan for a cable company he owned called County Cable, and just south of Little Rock. And that SBA loan came up, and after he got only after he became governor, did they think that they had to review that SBA loan. Now, he took the SBA loan, he applied it to make some improvements on the cable company, and he also made some other improvements that were not specified in the SBA loan. So he ended up spending time in an orange jumpsuit only after he became governor. He wasn't of any interest before that. So we have a special election, and some random pastor out of Southwest Arkansas becomes a lieutenant governor. Who knew they were going to find Jim Guy guilty, and that Mike Huckabee would become what some people believe one of our best governors for a very long time, a very, very even-handed guy. Just like, and I'm going to give the compliment to Asa Hutchinson. Those of you who know me, and this is the deal for us, Randy, I'll guarantee you 98% of our watchers and listeners on this podcast and on our Facebook page are moderates. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a common senser. Sometimes this party makes common sense. Sometimes this one doesn't. Sometimes they're all just an embarrassment. All of that to say, let's move back to what? A capitalist.
I'm a capitalist.
We're capitalists. That's for sure.
A diehard capitalist.
You know, the fact that we're not making any money off this podcast would not prove either one of us.
Well, I didn't say I was good at it. I said I was diehard.
It's a principle, by golly. It's a principle.
So you're saying that there's a precedent for chaos in politics in Arkansas.
There's a precedent for chaos everywhere. And
exactly.
And let's be frank about it. Everybody that capitalizes on it makes a buck. They come around.
Yeah.
Mike Huckabee just moved back to Arkansas. He built a $4 million mansion, $3.6 million mansion on the Pensacola coast of Florida. And now that his daughter is running for governor, which ought to be pretty good. She was was Trump's press secretary. You know, of all the things, the dump truck that ran up and down the street here picking up trash, I'd rather have done that than have been Trump's press secretary.
Yeah, that'd be a tough job.
That'd be a tough job. Whatever side of the fence you fall on, that's a tough job, people. Yeah. So let's talk about the board. First, let's talk about the concept and the pretense and the intent. And I want to say this again, people that are listening near and far, and I realize we have to reiterate some of these things. From 1970, Cooper was the developer. Cooper is still the developer. I like these people. They're good folks. They are capitalists. It is their job to make money. If they didn't make money, we wouldn't have a lake behind me. We wouldn't have all these other things. In the midst of that, probably about 1972, they formed a private nonprofit corporation called the Hot Springs Village Property Owners Association. Now, for most people, you would say, well, we have an HOA. Well, that's a homeowners association. Well, not everybody that owns property here has a home. As a matter of fact, the vast majority, yep, there's Randall. The vast majority of people, some 80%, don't have homes here, and they do still pay POA dues. So, Randy, let's recap. Assessments for a vacant lot like yours is
$43 a month.
And for a property I'm sitting in today is what, 63 a month, I think. Yeah, that shows how much I pay attention, right?
Yeah.
I pay a lot of them, by the way.
I think that's right.
Yeah, it's a step up.
It's horseshoes and hand grenades. We're close.
It's less than $100 for most people is what you need to know. But that said, and it's based on the criteria, the delineation is a water meter. If Randy had a water meter on his property for whatever purpose, just to irrigate the weeds, he would be paying the homeowner rate. And for me, I have a water meter, so I pay and so. I'm chasing a rabbit, but I'll be quick. A lot of people are buying double lots in the village. If you have two lots, if one has a water meter on it and one does not, you pay the lesser rate on one lot and you pay the water meter rate on the other. So you could build your home on two lots, pretty much an acre lot kind of thing or bigger. But now that said, and we have several positions on the board. I think it's 8, and I think or is it 7? I've got to remember.
So the POA was formed roughly in 72. You said
ish. Okay. It's going to be right in that area. Yeah. And at that time, you have to understand, Cooper was bringing in, and I mentioned this with somebody the other day. Cooper was bringing in between 50 and 80,000 people a year. And they were adding tens or thousands, at least, not tens of thousands, but thousands of lots a year. It's easy to manage funds and easy to manage a business when there's growth and there's money and there's cash flow. Yeah, no problem. As Stephanie Heffer, one of our most recent guests, who we love dearly, who's now at Arvest Bank, said, in 2006, Cooper and the POA split paths, and there was never a plan for what they were going to do. They hadn't had negotiations or discussions about what we're going to do. It's just like Cooper said, well, and to be very, very specific, Cooper said, we're going to cease building activities. We're not going to build more lots. We're not going to build more homes. We're ceasing that. Did they go away? No. To be very specific, they did not go away.
But the marketing stopped.
The marketing stopped. The people coming in, all the thousands of new lots, all the new money, because Cooper knew that there was going to be a massive correction in the market. And to be frank about it, Jeff mentioned that. Jeff Atkins, who was on our show, who was on the board 3 times, he made the comment, we didn't know if Cooper was going to be here next year. We didn't know if they were going belly up, which we look around now and we go, oh yeah, that couldn't. Yeah. That could have happened any time in the past.
Anything's possible.
Sure. At any
time. So the POA gets formed, and right straight away, I would assume part and parcel of the POA being formed is the board.
The board is formed. And as I give this analogy, and I don't think it's an oversimplification, but when Cooper was in charge between 72 and 2006, what actually was happening is that, Cooper would say, we're bringing all these people in, we're bringing all the money in, we're doing all this. And the POA would go, okay, we've got a new golf course. Let's talk about what we're going to charge for the rates. Well, Cooper, being the developer and wanting to have more people coming in and sell golf at cheap rates, would go, why don't you set the prices here? Now, Cooper wouldn't say the price is going to be this, but they could have, I guess. So the board was more of a perfunctory mechanism. And I hate the term, I really do, but it was more of a rubber stamp. And at the time, now remember, all these board positions are free, volunteer positions, no money. The bylaws or the declarations will not even allow us to pay you. They get a per diem, but that's about it. An iPad and a per diem is about all it comes to. But all that said, they wouldn't allow them to be paid. Well, why would it be a big deal? Back in the 90s, you might meet for one time a month. You might have a discussion about what you're going to do. You might vote on everything and kind of rubber stamp it and move on down the road. Well,
not quite the time commitment that it is today.
Not quite the time commitment. We have a forestry committee. We have a finance committee. I looked just before we got online. I was actually looking at the calendar, and it seems like there are 3 to 5 committee meetings a week. And everybody that's on the board is assigned as a liaison to one of these committees.
Right.
Tucker Omahondro, that we've seen many times on the board, is actually a liaison to the Forestry Committee, which I met with the other day, and Forestry and Common Properties, which Todd Knowles is on as the employee. He's on the ACC, which is the committee that decides where you build and all that fun stuff. And it would be we'll come back to the ACC in a minute. But the bottom line is that there are 3-year terms, and they're rotating 3-year terms. So a gentleman asked me right before we got online, and people we need to shout out to, John Skopizniak, great guy, great listener and follower. He asked when we had the news from today that I'll cover in just a minute, he said, who gets the 1-year term or the 2-year term? And I'll explain what's going on. We had 6 people running for the position for four seats. And one of them dropped out. The other one had an instance at the gate where he didn't want to show his membership card, or he didn't have his membership card. It happened a couple of times. And the gate staff stopped him, backed up a lot of traffic, made a big hullabaloo. He said, call the police. They know me. They came down, they identified him. It took a few minutes. By now, traffic's backed up past the past the highway. And the board met and decided to rescind Mr. Kurt Dingler's amenities, or his ability, his privileges. Now, that doesn't mean he can't come into the village and get to his property. Of course, he can always do that. You can't limit somebody's ability to do that. But in his appeal, he argued that's what they were trying to do. And, it's one of the things, and I'll just go ahead and say it. I like Kurt. We're buddies, talk all the time, not a big deal. Kurt has some absolutely valid points. He has a valid point here and there, and you're like, ooh, that's a good point. And then he may discount it by saying something else that you're like, what? So he can be a very divisive character. I like the guy. I don't have anything against him whatsoever. But that said, the board chose to suspend his privileges. So we now had 4 people for 4 seats. There are 3, I believe there are 3 3-year terms, and there is 1 2-year term. Well, typically, if we had voted, the person who got the most votes would have got the 3-year term. The second person would have got the 3-year term, had there been a 2-year term. So we would fill them in order of the votes that they got. Well, part of the deal is because we're not having a vote, we've already printed up all the ballots. But because we're not having a vote, we're saving about $20,000 in postage. And if you've mailed postage lately, it adds up quick. So that's a valid concern. But we're not going to send out the ballots at all. I guess putting them in the recycle bin. But we're not going to send out the ballots. We're simply going to let the 4 members that are the 4 people who have asked to be on the board or were running for the board assume those positions. Well, how does the 4th one? Who do we determine who the 4th one was? Alphabetical? Usually they draw lots. Okay. Whoever pulls the lowest number out of the basket only gets the 2-year term or whatever.
I started to say this can't be the first time that something like this has happened.
No, this has happened regularly before. Okay. It's not that uncommon. But I will make note.
And it shows you just how people are clamoring to be on the board.
Oh, we can't wait. We can't wait. I was at the radio station the other day.
And punishment.
Exactly. I was at the radio station the other day, and somebody was telling me about a POA, employee of the POA, that people wanted him gone. And I'm like, are there people standing in line to take this job? I don't think so. Just like and have I heard it before? And by the way, Randy, you're available now. You could run for the board too.
Yeah, that ain't gonna
look at those eyes. Yeah.
That ain't.
Anyway, my point being,
I don't even want to criticize the board, much less be on it,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, if you'll notice, you and I repeatedly in the nearly year that we've been doing this, we repeatedly appreciate and make commendations and say, thank you for being on the board. This is not, I mentioned Tucker Omahondro a minute ago. I love Tucker. I really do. I didn't say Tucker and I've never had a cross word, and I say cross, just a disagreement. I met Tucker in 2003, I think. So we're coming on 20 years. He's been here longer than I have, certainly, because he's a lot older. I love it when he hears that. He'll get a kick out of that.
Oh yeah. He'll be
tell
really
him, tell him I said that, Carol. He'll get a kick. No. He's a fun guy. He really is. but we don't agree on everything, and we don't have to. That's cool. But I can still honor and appreciate what he brings to the table and how hard he works for that committee. Might not be the way I do it, but he's doing it in my stead because I'm not the guy standing up there and taking the bullets, if you know what I mean.
Well, you know, and that, I think that's another valid point to emphasize. It's the way you and I roll, and the way we choose to roll on this podcast is we don't have to. We have a lot of POA folks on here, primarily because we're curious. I'm ridiculously curious because there's so much I still just absolutely don't have a clue about. And I really want to know what these folks do, and the audience has proven that they appreciate it as well. You know, we're meeting some of these people that haven't really had a platform to have much of a public presence, and it's just kind of cool these are real people. These are real people with real backgrounds and real education and real experience and real families, and it's just kind of cool. But all that to say this, it doesn't mean we have to see eye to eye. I don't know, the way the world is working today, it's like I must let you know how vehemently opposed to you I am. It's just not how it's not our worldview. It's not the worldview of this podcast or this show. And
it won't be, Randy. It won't be.
I'm glad for that.
Well, and here's the deal. You and I, and if people don't know this, personally, you and I feel very, very strongly about our convictions. And we may not make that clear. We do feel very strongly about our convictions. You won't find people that are more convicted about what we feel. But we don't have to, we're not looking for disciples. We're looking for friends. We're looking for people and co-supporters that can say, hey, this is a great place. We love this place. This is where we're going. We can draw the line of professionalism that says, I don't have to tell you my personal opinion. You probably can deduce them, but I don't have to tell you what my personal opinion is on this matter because I'm not trying to convince you of that. I want to tell you about Jason Temple. I want to tell you about Todd Knowles. I want to tell you about Ricky Middleton. I want to tell you about John Paul. I want to tell you about Kelly Haley. I want to tell you about these Charlie Brown, these great people. And I wrote this just on Facebook, on our Facebook page today, for those of you who aren't watching or listening that, and I understand. If you think that our POA, and this is obviously directed to the POA owners and members here, if you think that somebody in our POA is a slacker and lazy and incompetent and they don't know what they're doing, that's because you don't know them. You haven't spent the time that Randy and I have, and I mean spent the time Randy and I have to meet these people and go, whoa, you got a master's in what? Really? You spent how many nights at school? I mean, were you not impressed with some of these people, Randy?
Oh, I've been impressed with all of them. All of them, but I have a built-in bias, as you well know. I do some executive coaching with some city government folks here in the DFW area, and I happen to know firsthand that these are people, by and large, and this is also true in Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. These are people who could, in the free market, they could go out and they can make more money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now I realize that some people think these people are grossly overpaid. No, they're not. They're not grossly overpaid. I would go so far as to tell you none of them are overpaid. I don't know the pay structure, but I can almost promise you there's nobody at the POA that is grossly overpaid. They could go elsewhere. Yes. Would they have to leave Hot Springs Village? Yes. Could they? Yes. I mean, come on. Jason Temple graduated from Texas A&M, a renowned engineering school. Jason could go somewhere else and make more money. That's just a fact.
Well, to tell you,
and it would not be difficult, by the way.
No, it wouldn't. I think he could probably pick and choose, especially, and I don't mean this wrong, especially after being here. I mean, he has a great position here. It looks great. He has a fantastic resume. If all he wanted to do was pad his resume and move on down the road, this would be the perfect time.
Well, the point is these people are here because they want to be here.
Yep.
And the other thing that I think has come across in all the interviews is what I already knew to be true of people who do this kind of work. Because, come on, it's tantamount to city government work. Yeah. I get Hot Springs Village is not a city, and it's not city government, but it's the equivalent of.
It's city government work.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of. And it takes a special breed of cat to do that kind of work And you have to have what all of these people have demonstrated, and it's a spirit of service. And there aren't 100% of the population does not understand that. There are some people that just aren't bent that way. I get it. I respect it. I salute it. But the people that do that kind of work have a different, they're in it for something more than just a paycheck. I mean, Todd is the most recent interview that we had.
Todd Knowles, Forestry Committee, and Common Property.
If this dude does not epitomize and reek of trying to help people and just wanting to help people, and you can tell it's genuine. You can tell it's just the way the dude rolls, right? It's just who he is. It's just the fabric. It's just the fabric of who these people are. And I think it comes across. I want it to come across because I don't think there's anything contrived or fake about it. So there's that. No, I'm really appreciative. You know, and these are big investments. I don't have a house there, but you know, Rhonda and I we made a not an insignificant purchase, you know, of some property in there. So I care about some of these decisions and these things that get made. Tucker recently, you know, has challenged the board to, let's go back and look at this nickel and diming, his phrase.
Oh,
you know, well,
which is exhausting to the laity. Exhausting to the laity.
I respect that. Now I don't know what's going to come of that, but I'm pretty interested.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm a capitalist, so it involves capital. I'm really interested. Are some of the things crazy and insane? Well, people that come to the village would look at it and think so because it's just not congruent with the way we've lived our lives. Yeah. Until you've lived in a community like Hot Springs Village, and there aren't many of them, where it doesn't have any taxing authority, municipalities are operating in a whole different business structure. And they've got hotel tax, and they've got all kinds of state and local and national government money.
Turnbacks, yeah.
That Hot Springs Village does not have any access to. You know, sales tax, which in the pandemic, most every city, every municipality benefited. Because guess what people are doing? Sitting at home ordering Amazon. And so sales tax numbers went up and revenue going into cities. Hot Springs Village does not benefit from these kinds of things. And so I understand it as a business guy. They need revenue. They need to generate revenue. I get it. But I do appreciate Tucker bringing up, you know, I mean, we really need the nickel and dime, as he said.
Yeah, but let's split hairs. Let's split real hairs here.
Well, I don't have.
What follicles you and I can split, and I do mean this, in the meeting, in the meeting to suspend Kurt's privileges, and then the appeal later on. One of the things Kurt said is that charging me for a decal to get in the village. Now, to split a hair here, you don't have to have the decal to get in the village, but it's the easy lane of sorts. You get to get in the right lane and come in easier, right? I mean, it's a greater ease of access. And one of the things,
well worth $10 is the quote from Randy.
And Randy has a point.
Anybody's got to agree with that, but I was quite pleased to be able to spend the $10 and breeze on through the right lane. It was
a privilege tax for you, Randy. It was a privilege tax.
So much so we named a show, you know, what it's like to live in the right-hand lane. You know, it's great.
Well, that said, but
we did bury the lead. Back up. Yeah. So in part of the revoking of privileges, he was a candidate, and his candidacy was. Well, I don't know what the right word would be.
Well, no, and to be very frank, the exact letter of the law was the press release today came out and said that because they had reviewed his candidacy, they had an attorney review his candidacy, and it said to be on the board or to be elected on the board, you had to be, quote, in good standing. Now, in every other instance at any other time, what that meant was you paid your dues. Okay. But in this instance, because he's literally suspended, he can't play golf. He can't play pickleball. He can't play tennis. He can't go to the Coronado Center. He can obviously use the trails or whatever, but you get my point.
Can't run for the board.
Right. Exactly. So he's not a valid candidate. So that was excused. Well,
and that's the reason for no election, because that left a vacancy that mirrored the number of candidates.
Right. And I don't know if this is why I will never try and speak for Tucker, but I don't know if that's why Tucker said, let's talk about this nickel and dime thing. But I will tell you that was kind of the part of the piece that Kurt was talking about was, you're charging me for a sticker to get into my own community that I'm already paying assessments for. Now, and you don't know this, Randy, 3-4 years ago. And by the way, if we had Jeff Adkins on here, he would be frothing at the mouth right now, because 3 or 4 years ago, the decals were free.
We're trying to get Jeff well, so we didn't.
We're trying to get him healed up and carried over first.
We didn't want to raise his blood pressure.
He doesn't need that today. But no, the decal stickers used to be free. So if the decal stickers used to be free, is it nickeling and diming?
Well, I'm not going to be the guy who says that sticker costs $10.
No,
I mean, there's no way that sticker costs $10 to produce.
Well,
so
but let me make my point.
Something other. I mean, I don't.
My point is that Kurt, in the middle of being kicked out or having his privileges suspended, made a valid point, and Tucker was big enough to say, he has a valid point. Let's look at this nickel and dime thing. You know what? Yeah. We don't have to agree all the time, but if we can get to the place where you'll go, hey, Dennis, that's a valid point. We're in the middle of a heated discussion and you go, that's a valid point. Let's talk about it. I'm a happy camper.
Well, like I said, the genesis of this whole show was summed up in one word for me: understanding. And I'm not trying to make some political statement, because I'm apolitical. Don't care.
But you're a capitalist.
I'm tickle pink that I was blessed enough to be born an American. So there's that.
Amen.
I could be fearing for my life. I could be in Ukraine right now. I mean, we've seen some of the videos and stuff, and it's just, it's horrifying. Heart goes out to anybody who's in a war-torn country. I have no concept of what that would be like. I'm not crazy enough to just take that for granted and just to assume that I deserve this. I don't. I got lucky. I got really lucky. We all got really lucky with that. But understanding, there's so many things that I still want to understand that I don't understand. And I just know getting worked up and getting hot under the collar and berating each other does not facilitate me understanding. It certainly doesn't help me try to be understood. When somebody's in my face, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So I'm really tickled that the audience has accepted us as graciously as they have, and all this stuff as a new property owner. I'm like, okay, first election, first shot out of the barrel, and we've got this, we've got this big brouhaha going at the gate and whatnot. And hey, he's a big boy, and he made his own choices. And would I have done it? No, but it's fine. I don't disrespect him. I don't agree, but he chose to do it, and it's fine.
But I'll tell you, Randy, I'll tell you where you and I both come down, and I don't even have to ask you. I respect his right to do it, and I will honor his right to do it. If hey, you know what? If you want,
how can you prize freedom and not? I just, you and I were having a conversation before we hit record, and we were talking about just some personal things that are neither here nor there. But Dennis and I had this conversation, and a lot of it was about faith, and we don't have Bibles under our arm. We're not going to beat you over the head with it. But, I told him that one of the biggest lessons for me in recent years was the realization. Now, intellectually and spiritually, I already know this, that the God that created us gave us the capacity to both love and hate. And the difficult thing for me through some of my personal struggles in recent years has been the realization that the God that created us with the capacity to love and hate also gave us the capacity to love him or hate him. And
your call.
Yeah, and I can't, I get that it's a double-edged sword, but I think the same thing about being an American and our ability to make these free choices. A choice I would make? No, but there are people there are people out right now. We're recording this on a Friday evening.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's all kinds of sin and mayhem going on, on a Friday night. I don't care how cold it is outside. Right? I mean, there's a lot of people out doing up to no good.
Bad things after midnight and even before midnight.
We don't have to approve of it. And if they break the law, then, or if they break, in the case of the POA, rules,
mm-hmm.
If they break rules, then there are consequences for those.
They may see Officer Middleton or Chief Middleton or one of his deputies.
But people can still do it. There's been this whole Joe Rogan thing, and his podcasters, Dennis and I have kind of probably paid closer attention to that than the average bear. But I mean, so Rogan has these conversations, and he has these, in some cases, these guests that have very different viewpoints, and the world wants to cancel him over it. I mean, if we're going to start shutting down people's ability, Kurt can do what he did. Is there a price to be paid? There is. He's
paying it.
He's currently paying that price.
Yeah.
Does he agree that he should pay that price? He clearly does not. He appealed. He lost the appeal. Other people can debate all they want ad nauseum, all of that, but okay, due process and all that, and there you have it. Would he do it again? I don't know. But if some good can come out of it, to your point, if it did drive Tucker to think about nickel and diming, I don't know that it did, but if it did, okay. I salute you, Kirk.
I salute Kurt, and I salute Tucker for being big enough to say, hey, he has a point.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't agree, but you have a point. And I will reiterate, and I say this until the day I pass out. Freedom of speech includes speech you don't agree with. Kurt wasn't standing in a crowded theater screaming fire. Nobody was endangered by this. Were they inconvenienced? Yeah, maybe, whatever.
Right.
But the bottom line is he has the right to do that. I have the right to do that. Well, I have to own up to the consequences too, but I have the right to do that.
Yep.
Everybody, I mean, I'm not, you and I both, and probably 98% of our moderates who are listening to this are not going to go, well, he shouldn't have the right to do that. No, he should. It's just an issue. Well, I'll tell you what, I want to come around to some other things real quick before we wrap up here. I want to make note that we had a show with Jim and Andrea, who were leaving the home plate at a heartbreaking moment.
Yeah, by the time this is broadcast, they're gone.
They're gone, and they have had their show, which we recorded live.
Their toes are in the sand or really close to the sand.
Yeah, they're on a
boat.
They're either on the boat or they're in Belize by this time. And God love them and honor them and respect them and appreciate it. It was a gut-wrenching decision. It looked like by every stretch, wasn't it, Randy?
Yeah, but come on, in that live stream that we did with them that we rebroadcast just last Tuesday, it was. Yeah. I get it. I think all of us get it. And we're not in the restaurant game. No. We're not in that 100-hour-a-week kind of a game where you're in essence, you're married to your spouse, but you're also married to your business. It's a whole different ball game.
Well, in that instance, you're married to your wife, your spouse, and your spouse, yourself, and your job, and who gets top billing.
Yeah, and I mean, I can tell you, we had enough private conversations, with them to know that it was, they so care about the place, they so care about their customers, they so cared about their employees, and listen, they said it in that show, so it's not any big secret, but it bears repeating, I guess. They went to great lengths and took an extraordinary amount of time to get this right.
Oh, nearly a year.
And not every business owner would have done that, so I'm tickled. I'm tickled that it worked out for them. I'm tickled that it worked out for the new owners, and we hope to have them on here sooner than later. And I'm really pleased that the tradition of the home plate will continue, and you've got a special connection there with Scraps and all that. So,
who has not barked in this entire show, if I'll make note.
He'll start barking now.
He was
You've cursed him now.
He was defending the front door. He's probably napping now. He was defending the front door from the FedEx guy a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about who we have coming up. By the time this plays, Mr. Tom Clark, the engineer, I guess you would say, or the designer of virtually all the golf courses. He didn't do DeSoto, but that's the only one, and he redid DeSoto.
He would have just aired Friday, so we're airing Tuesday after him, but. We're also going to have we're going to revisit a conversation. There's way more.
Yeah.
Dennis he's had he's had minutes and minutes and minutes of conversation with Tom. I have as well, separate and apart from Dennis, that we didn't record.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we kind of wish we had. Yeah.
If y'all think that we did not even touch, we didn't touch the tip of the iceberg with him. And so, Lord willing, the next time we visit with Mr. Clark, who is the architect of the golf courses. So go back to last Friday's episode and you can see that. But then the next go round, we'll have John Paul join us.
We'll have John Paul with Tom Clark so they can talk about it together and how they built or remanufactured.
Well, we realized that we didn't even know enough to even guide the conversation. And John Paul knows details and stuff and these are stories that just need to be told. In fact, Tom said that one of the motivations he had to agree to this, this history needs to get captured. He was smart enough, wise enough to recognize that. So,
well, because if we don't, it's not going to happen by itself. It's not going to just keep going.
That's right. And speaking of golf, we got some other folks. I mean, Stephanie has hooked us up with Tom. So we'll have Tom Heffer and some other golf cats on to
Matt. And I think we've got Kevin Sexton lined up, who from the POA. And by the way, I want to tell everybody I had the opportunity to go to the meet and greet, which this is going to be
Mr.
March.
Hale, Kelly Hale,
this is going to be the second week of March. So when this broadcast, but this is the last week of February. And I went to meet Mr. Hale, and I thought that it was going to be him in a room and him maybe speaking and then asking questions or whatever later. But I mean, he's at the front door for 2.5 hours, shaking hands, seeing everybody personally. And I'm
literally
like, wow.
A meet and greet. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Literally a meet and greet, but
well attended.
But wait, there's more. I walk in and there is a table from every department and every committee from the POA.
Oh, there you go.
And it was
smart.
It was genius. And out in the middle, they had a big projector up front. They were giving away POA coupons and drawings and whatever.
Right.
And out in the middle, they had Clampets, Explorer, Beehive, Tanners, and some others had provided barbecue sandwiches, baked beans. I had just eaten, so I wished I hadn't. I could have picked up a free meal if you know.
There you go. Did you win anything?
I didn't. No, I wasn't really there. I kind of came. You'll learn this about me, Randy. I come skidding in the door at 5:30, and it closes at 6. And when I'm there, people are pouring out.
You don't think I already know that about you?
Yeah, you've learned that about me by now, right? Yeah. Anyway, but when I walk in, there's a table. You'll get this, people. This is very funny. My wife, who is a beautiful CPA, but she'll get this joke too. There's a table immediately to the right, and I'm trying to think if it was permits and something, And there's people there, and they're kind of talking. And there's another table, and it's the accounting department. And there are 3 nice enough ladies.
Did they call you over, tell you to?
No. Yeah. Because they were wanting to talk to me. Yeah. There were 3 ladies sitting like this,
bored out of their minds,
just watching.
Nobody was talking to them.
No, and they weren't talking to anybody else. You go to every other table, people are standing up. I go down to the end. Yeah. Charlie's standing up. He's talking with this Charlie Brown. He's talking about things. I go to the center table. People are offering me food. I go over to the police.
So did you
table.
go over there to break the ice with the folded arms?
No. They looked way too serious. I didn't want to tell them I was married to a CPA.
Well, I figured you might go over there and poke
I get over to the police table, and Ricky's like, "Hey, Dennis," and I'm like, you know, should the police know me that well? Should they know me that well?
They probably should.
No, I don't think they should.
Probably should.
Truth be told, Charlie and compliance should know me better.
Yeah.
I'm not breaking laws. I'm breaking policy anyway. Yeah. So, and just a kick in the pants here for Ricky. They're still taking applications for the Citizens Police Academy, which sounded awesome, which we need to have more viewers. People need to know more about this, Randy. That was a fantastic program. Ricky did a great job. It's very, very interesting. I meant to fill out an application while I was there. I want to go through the Citizens Academy. I think that'll be interesting. Next table over was Paul Sage, who we had a chance to meet with for advertising and promotions, Kevin Sexton. There was another table I'm missing. And then at the very end, there was Matt at the golf table. And then I went back around and stood in line and waited for just a couple of minutes, and I met all these people. And who was the lady for Habitat? Goodness. Is what we've got people. Oh yeah. We've got, it'll come back to me. Me too. It's a Friday afternoon. It's been a long day, but we've got many. It was a honestly, I salute, applaud, and thank this audience, because when I walked in, these people were like, "Hey, I've seen that podcast. We know about that. Tell us, can we be on your show?" I'm like, "Holy cow, yes, you can." And the lady who runs Habitat for Humanity, SM, her initials. I don't know why I remember that, but I can't remember her name.
Yeah.
Cindy Wagstaff, SM. Yeah. Cindy Wagstaff. Where'd I get that? Her husband, Robert Wagstaff, is a tennis pro who we're going to have on. Cindy Wagstaff, who runs one of the rehab that they own, the Restore store down at the bottom of the hill.
Yep.
We're eager to have them on. They were eager to be on. Walked over, stood in line to meet Mr. Hale, walked into Mr. Kelly Hale, the new GM. And I said, "I'm Dennis Simpson with Hot Springs Village Inside Out." He said, "I've seen your program. I want to be on your program." I was like, well, this was simpler than I thought it would be. I thought we would have to beg and plead, and just so it's not lost on us, Randy, the different administrations get to do different things.
Mm-hmm.
We have been able to raid their staff and interview virtually anybody we want because of John Paul, who has been extremely gracious.
Yep.
Mr. Hale did not have to allow that. He didn't have to say, right, "Sure, Dennis, you and Randy can interview anybody you want. Come on in.
That's right.
I'll even be on your show." He did not have to say that, and we are very grateful for him.
Excited.
I want to make
him on.
I'm eager. Very, very precise, very sharp dresser. Of course, always wants to look good. Always wants to come across very well.
I'll look better for that show than.
Will you? Is there going to be a tie in your future, Randy?
Oh no. He's not going to see me in a suit.
Well, he'll see you in a suit at your funeral or something, right?
No, maybe he won't be there. He won't be there.
You don't know that. He could be there.
No, he won't be there. He won't be there. We've got a list. Early on, I remember telling somebody, we're never going to run out of material here.
Never.
We've got a working Google Drive document, and I don't know. We're easily at 3 dozen.
Oh yeah.
There's easily 3 dozen listings of future guests, and that's, there's a boatload that we just haven't put on there yet.
Yeah.
So, we've easily got, we've got right now kind of teed up. We probably got another year's worth of, and we continue.
I hadn't thought about it, but you're right. Yeah.
We continue to add to it. Well, it's pretty fascinating, isn't it? For a place that's got less than 16,000 citizens,
it really, well, not just that, but we've got medical people lined up.
No, we're not going to get around to all 16,000 because not all of you are that interesting. But.
Yes, we'd like to talk to the assistant dog catcher today. And it's not going to happen. But I'll tell you what, I will make this note. Our very best shows, I think, come from suggestions. So if you have a suggestion, do not be shy. Do not be shy to say, "Hey, we want to talk to you about pickleball." By the way, we don't have anybody about pickleball. We don't have anybody. We just finally had an angler step up. We've got somebody scheduled for anglers, for fishermen. We've got tennis now. We've got community. We're welcome. You're welcome. If we don't think it'll fit, we'll let you know. But so far, we're doing good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Randy, I think I think it'd be interesting to note what you had sent to me the other day. We've made a concerted effort to reach out to virtually every restaurant we can put our hands on. What's the name of the Cortez? Not Rodolfo's. What is it? It's Raffaella's.
Oh, Raffaella's.
Raffaella's at Cortez. Alana, and coming back around to people that. These are hardworking people, you know. We want to support these people.
Mulligans, and we want to talk to all these people. We want to. I want to, I want to hear the stories, and a lot of these folks I've discovered are people that, I assumed, well, okay, Dennis knows them, but it's kind of been interesting. Some of it's like you don't know them, and that makes it even cooler, for me. Because we both go into it just like complete idiots because we don't have a clue.
Tell them the Mulligan story. I told you that Diane and I typically go to Mulligan's. Mulligan's is the restaurant at the Ponce Golf Course, and it's out on the back patio. Beautiful flagstone little deck outside. They've got a nice area inside. Great food, great beverages, a lot of nice fun. And I told Randy, I said, Diane and I typically go there in the spring because it is glorious on the back deck.
We went in the dead of winter, so and I'll give a shout out. I'll give a shout out to our rental host this last time, Jack and Susan McKenzie.
Nice people. Yeah, I'm surprised they let you stay there.
Well, when you pay people, they tolerate some things.
You pay them? You pay them?
Of course we pay them. They tolerate some things. Super interesting. Trying to get them, here.
Give the profile.
Here's a woman from the Bahamas.
Lovely lady.
She's an accomplished tennis player.
Yep.
Some people do affectionately refer to her as the Bahama Mama. I do not call her that to her face. But I just did to our audience. Super interesting. Sells airplanes.
You say?
Has been selling
not she doesn't sell airplanes. She sells jets.
She sells airplanes. I don't know that they're all just jets. She sells airplanes. Has sold airplanes for 26 years.
Really?
He is a master's degreed urban planner.
You mean like the village? Yeah.
Well, I'm sure.
That's what this is.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got some opinions, but they came from Florida. They lived in the village full time for don't quote me on it, 6 years, give or take.
Beautiful home.
They split their time. They split their time between here and Florida. Fort Lauderdale was home, and perfectly lovely couple. So on the East End, I'm like, Rhonda and I are looking for a place, and I get my phone out, and I'm like, Mulligan's. Well, I've never heard of Mulligan's. Mulligan's, where's Mulligan's? We got to go find this place. She said, well,
1.3 miles down the road.
Yeah, have we not heard about it? I said, well, I don't know, but it's right here. Well, we walk in.
Yep.
Man, I'm gonna absolutely blow it. I had his name.
I'm going to buy you time real quick. I'm going to buy you time. When you walk in, it's got a little dumbwaiter. It's got a guy, a full-size scale picture of a guy holding a waiter, the waiter holding a plate and whatever.
Yeah.
And it's decorated. They have a collection of beer cans. Unbelievable collection of beer cans, and really, really nice staff. It's just good food. It's just good, quick food.
Well, the view was awesome. We
go
looking
at the driving range.
Yeah, and I've got a beanie on, and the guy comes and says, "Man, I love your show," and I'm like, "Okay, well, so that helped."
And we've never had famous people in here before, and you said,
"Oh yeah, that's right." And I said, "Well, you still haven't." Never had a celebrity or something. And I said, "Yeah, well, you still haven't had." So. Anyway, the food was great. Service was great. The atmosphere was great. What's not to like, So it was terrific. And then while we were there, it got really cold and there were snow flurries and it was bone chilling cold. And so we were just staying in and we went back. We went back a second time.
It's good food. Yeah.
And, and it had a nice little crowd. Oh yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm interested in the businesses. We are interested in the businesses in inside the village and those in proximity of it. And especially the restaurants. We've kind of, come on, the Jim and Andrea and Daniel and Alana, two really right out of the gate friends of the show. So we've kind of got a bias.
And Greg at the Beehive.
Greg Jones at the Beehive, same thing.
Artfully baked. Yeah.
Yep. So we've got an affinity for them. We got an affinity. John Paul, we haven't had a stronger supporter, I don't think, than John Paul. And admittedly, he was in a position where he could really help us, and he did without even asking. So we were glad that he kind of saw the vision of what we were trying to do here to shine a bright light on a gorgeous place. So, yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
A gorgeous place that has gone dark now, as you can see in the background.
It has gone very dark, but I tell you what, in the back, way back there,
yeah,
Mr. Gary Mouton's home is getting built. He's in the dry and in the Tyvek.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did a drone flyover the other day and sent that to him, and he was like, "Wow, thanks." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not losing another drone in the drink for you, buddy, but I'll do some shots for you now."
Yeah, when they get that built, I'm gonna want to sleep over there.
Oh yeah, I think so. You know what? Hey, you and I would do a sleepover in the man cave down bottom. We don't even have to have the third floor view.
No,
We'd be happy with the first floor view.
Listen, if when the weather warms up a little bit, put a hammock out back and I'll be good. Yeah, it's nice view and all that. So
I'll tell you what, I'll pull the.
And if that falls through, then I'm going to hit up Mike Varney, who we've also had on the show, and I'm going to hit 61 Resplendor.
Oh man, I tell you,
just hang out in the backyard.
Randy, we really seriously, and y'all were listening to us ramble on, and I appreciate it. You're very kind people, by the way. If we had to go back and look at the number of people we've been introduced to by this show, Mike Varney, Joey Clampett.
And we're going to have Joey. We're going to have Joey and his wife Lynn on. Yeah, they're in the queue. They're in the queue.
And Rafaela's is in the queue now. We've got, I've got to reach out to Joseph Stansel at the Blue Elephant. We've been there lately. I want to talk to him. But the number of people that we just keep getting connected, Clara and Cindy and Ricky and Greg. And the list goes on and on and on. And by the way, in my personal opinion, I don't think Ponce is east. I think Ponce is mid. But that's me. You said you were in the East Village. I thought you were mid.
You think that's mid?
Actually, you know what I
think I own property in the mid.
You do own property in the mid, and I told
east. That's east of the mid to me.
Yeah, it is. But you know what I told Stephanie? They built a house.
Trademark Realty is the midpoint to me. Is that not right? Like what mile marker? Because that's mile marker what, 8, 7.5, 8?
I think Stephanie said that the Woodlands was mid. It was real close to the Woodlands. But the reason I say that is because I asked, we used to have, back when we were begging people to build, we had Renaissance Home built a home on Ponce, on the back 9 of Ponce over on number 14 on the west
side. And Brandon, you're still welcome to come on the show. Even though
yes, Brandon,
this has Heisman a few times.
Those of you who know Brandon, send him on over. We're still trying to grab him or any other builders. We'll talk to them too. But Brandon built over there, and I asked Stephanie one time, I said, why did he select that spot? And she said, it was the westernmost spot that people still thought of as eastern. Let that sink in. Okay. It was the westernmost spot.
Yeah, I get it.
We'll still think of as eastern, which makes sense. I got to tell you, I think there's, and I don't know that I've said this on this show before, but I can point out some places in the village of all 284 subdivisions. I can point out some places that I call stretch marks, where we were talking with Ernie Deaton.
Yeah.
we were talking with Ernie, and he said at the bottom of Menorca and DeSoto that they were building 2,000 lots a year. Right in that area where he's talking about, when you go east of Menorca, where that's the roller coaster hill most people think of, which is not far from your property. But when you go east of there and you start building 2,000 lots a year, they were building them so fast. And Ernie even said this, that they built them so fast. They actually had a year or two where they just stopped and said, look, go back and sell the stuff we just kind of skipped over, get all that done. And then we're going to start building some more. Right. And that's kind of when they started really building what you and I would consider the East End. But all of that to say, I think that you're going to see, and here,
but like Ponce, the mile marker, the mile marker at Ponce is roughly what?
9.
We're talking about where Remax is and where Artfully Baked is and all that.
I want to say it's 9, but you got to understand.
Do they not think seriously, I'm curious. So people don't think that's on the east side?
Here's the bottom line. If you live at mile marker
far eastern side,
sure.
I get that.
If you live at mile marker 17, mile marker 9 seems a little iffy. You know what I'm saying?
Is it mile marker 9? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, it's right around 9 or 10. I think the here's the deal. After you pass the Woodlands on the left-hand side,
I'm not sure about that, because it seems to me like Trademark's like 8.
It may be. But you go on down, there's Woodlands on the left, and then there's the Phoenix subdivision. And for those of you that don't know, right behind the
those of you that are totally confused by now about all this mile marker talking,
and from those of you that are still even listening,
from gate to gate, let's back up from gate to gate.
17.3.
Okay, 17.3 miles from gate to gate, and Ponce is
going to be. But here's the problem. It's what I was about to tell you.
I can't. Ponce doesn't feel like it's much more than 4 miles in, but maybe I'm wrong.
But Ponce probably Ponce is probably 1.5 miles along DeSoto. That's what I'm trying to explain. Okay, look
I'm talking about where I was on Ponce.
Yeah, no. But look, when you leave Woodlands and you're going down east on DeSoto on the north side of the road, the left-hand side of the road as you're going east, that's the Phoenix subdivision, which is stinking gorgeous. And there might be 5 houses in there.
I don't think I've ever been in there.
You need to go. Actually, it was designed to be, I say Phoenix.
So it's a super small subdivision.
No.
There's just not many houses in there.
So you're at the Woodlands, turn left at the Woodlands and drive in between the Woodlands and the little fairground, the little grounds that we have there. Go back. There's an Episcopal church on the left, which is beautiful. Go back another 100.
I've never been back there.
Go back another 100 feet and it turns into a gravel road that looks like a roller coaster that goes up and down. And back behind there's probably 4 or 5 roads that the weeds are chest high, because there's nothing back there, but it's gorgeous. I mean, it's simply gorgeous. It's part of where the dump grounds used to be, where Cooper would take old stumps and stuff and put back there too. But all that to say, right there past Phoenix, the road turns hard to the right. And on the left-hand side, there's a bunch of prefab buildings. That's Gasoline Alley. And there's a Lutheran church on the right.
Yep. I know where that's at.
Ponce starts just past that church.
Yeah.
It goes from there.
Okay. Well, I'm not talking about that Ponce. I'm talking about at the far end, like where Claire's office is at Remax. I'm talking about that Ponce, because that's where I went brain dead. Where did we go eat? Mulligan's.
That's where Mulligan's is.
Yeah,
that's
Mulligan's is on that Ponce. I'm talking about that's East End, dude.
Yes. That's probably 11 to 12. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll go with you there.
Exactly. Okay. Well.
And for those of you that are, if you're at this point in the show and you're still listening, you're a hardcore listener. Let's move on down the road.
Oh, well, you need to get a life.
You do. You need to grow. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, as you go on down the road, on the left-hand side, there is the first DeMonte, the main DeMonte entrance.
Correct. That's
where they're talking about putting the new spa. And it's kind of a timeshare spa. Nobody likes the term shared interest or whatever, but it's a timeshare. But they'll build that on either side of the road. Brandon has an ownership in that, or at least would be the builder. On the right-hand side of the road, there was a little bitty, just middle of nowhere, actually a model home area where Cooper built 3 homes right on the side of the road. and they built the Excelsior. They had a small, medium, and large. Basically, is what it comes down to.
Yep.
And each one of them, the Excelsior had bull-nosed sheetrock edges on the wall, and it had 11-foot ceilings. And the one just down from it was smaller and more modest and whatever. And that subdivision was called Pacifica. And I'm guessing it was, and I say was, I'm guessing it was 55, 60 acres, something like that. And Cooper had set it aside. I always say that Cooper uses their godlike powers because they are the developer and they get to do that. But Cooper had set aside that block that they were going to develop, and they didn't. So they sold it to Brandon. And so he's taken that subdivision and remodeled that entire subdivision that had maybe 4 or 5 plats or plots in it. Maybe it had 7. He's replatted the entire thing, and there's going to be a lot of really, really nice homes in there. That's the next Ciega for the people that don't know. As you drive on down the road a little further, on the left-hand side, just outside where Pizarro comes into DeSoto for the first time, on the left-hand side, there's the very, very thin, thick thicket of trees, of pine trees, and that's commercial property. And that's what I had asked Jeff Hollingsworth. He had said he was going to build 2 or 3 18 hotel rooms there, 18 complex hotel rooms there, and they would be a smart hotel.
And Jeff Hollingsworth is
the daughter and the son of Jane and John, who were some of the oldest in the village, some of the more senior, more longer residents. Jane is the number 1 realtor in the village. Jane's daughter-in-law, Darla, is Jeff's wife. So it's Jeff and Darla, and Jeff was actually the owner of Remax for a while. Darla is works with her mother-in-law, and they're the number 1 real estate team in the village. But they were talking about putting, I think it was 3 18s there, and he said he would be on the show as things got tighter. Hadn't happened. I don't know if that's coming or going, but yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Yep.
And then as we go out the gate on the far right-hand side, Brandon with Renaissance Homes again purchased that 55 acres from the gate on out to Highway 5, and is going to build a strip mall. He's going to build apartments, kind of condos or multifamily housing.
Yeah.
And some residential and business back there. So, Randy, I don't know if any time in the 20 years that I've been here that I could tell you in the next 2 years, things are going to change dramatically in the next couple of years.
Yeah, well, see, HSV Inside Out didn't exist. So, you start a podcast and everything just blows up in a great
way. You'd like to send your thanks and appreciation, mail them to...
Yeah.
What's your mailing address, Randy? Send them to Bedford, Texas. You don't want to send them here, right?
Yeah. I'll get an anthrax package or something. So. No,
but I do want to mention
our little podcast had nothing to do with it, but I don't know. We've contributed a little bit.
We have, I hope. Those of you who would like to talk to us, we have our very own dedicated phone number now, don't we, Mr. Randy?
We do.
501-922-5997. Did I do it right?
I think so.
501-992-5997. We have a 992 number because I own a telephone company, and we would be happy to take your call. If you want to call and just talk with us, you don't want to look up our cell phones, you don't want to bug us on a daily basis. If we can't take your call, it'll go to voicemail, and we'll just both get a copy and know what you said.
They can also email us.
He's
Dennis at, I'm Randy at hsvinsideout.com, which is super easy. So join the Facebook group.
And I'm trying to think, Randy, just for those of you, by the way, we are going to just the reality.
I'm sure glad that we were just going to hit record for a few minutes because
this will just take a minute. Has it been an hour yet? Good Lord Almighty.
I'm fixing to get a notification from Zoom that we better shut up, but go ahead. What were you going to say?
Are we going to talk about April 2, which is what the plan is, my friend?
I don't know. Is that the plan?
I think it is. Let's pull the trigger.
You know the plan better than I know the plan.
I don't know about that. That's the trouble we're in, my friend. April the 2nd. Probably 10 a.m. Saturday morning, KVRE. That's 92.9 or at kvre.com. You should be able to hear this program, among others, but we will be making a radio show
Well, not
come
today.
Saturday morning. Huh?
They don't want to hear today's. We're
Not today.
Not
no,
this show.
Not this show. You wouldn't want to hear this on the radio.
A better episode than this.
The rambling of crazy people. Tell them about the show, Randy. What do we have in mind?
Well, I have no idea.
Don't do that to me.
You're the expert. Well, I mean, it's an hour. It's technically an hour show. We realize that there's a ton of people that still don't know one thing about us, and we just
don't listen to podcasts and don't see the YouTube. That's just not their media.
No, we want to get the word out. And by the way, we never do mention it, but sign up for the newsletter. It is the easiest way to consume our shows, because you get an email once a week on a Sunday, and it gives you the 2 shows that published the week before or that week of, and you just click the link and it takes you right there. You can watch the video, which is a YouTube video, but you can
listen to the audio.
You can click play, and it's super easy. We did that on purpose because we knew that there was a large portion of our audience that not real YouTube savvy and not real, don't have a podcast catcher app.
Or like Facebook that much, or
yeah. So we want to make it easy to consume. But yeah, the radio. Huge thanks to Alice and everybody over there at the station for that partnership. Because
we wouldn't be here without KVRE, Randy. That's as simple as it gets.
No,
they have been an incredible partner already. I talked to John Paul a few weeks ago, and I said, can we work on this? Can we work on this? And John Paul said, we're trying to say yes more often. You couldn't say yes more often than the radio station. They have been extremely gracious to us.
They have. So super appreciative. And it's, hey, we're going to hopefully try to provide some entertaining and valuable content, for them as well. So yeah, it's great. I'm pumped about it.
We're in the preliminary stages. We've already had a show with Tracy. We're in the preliminary stages with Scotty Mack and with Alice. Alice is the general manager and daughter of the owners. Tom and Polly own the station. And it's a fascinating place. It really is. And I'll tell you what, with 2 ice storms in the last 2 weeks and the potential for some other weather, apparently tomorrow night, the fact of the matter is you really realize how much we need terrestrial radio, whether it's streamed online or whether it's just broadcast, so you can hear and go, okay, what's closed, what's not, what's the street status, how do we I see so many people on Facebook just grasping for, well, what are the road conditions? Well, just tune on the radio, man.
That's right.
That's where they're telling you.
Yeah And it's even more valuable in a community as tight as Hot Springs Village is, but their numbers are spectacular,
crazy.
The numbers in Central Arkansas are really, really super strong. And so, yeah, I'm pumped. I'm super pumped about that partnership.
Well, if we're the little podcast that can, they're the little radio station that did. I mean, these guys, they knock it out of the class. They really do. This is a Class C station, which that means that's 25,000 watts, which is a small community radio station. It covers virtually all of Little Rock. It covers all of Hot Springs. It covers most of Russellville. It goes to Conway. Anyway, yeah. And I think that they typically go satellite between a certain group of hours, roughly between 2 p.m. and midnight or something like that. They'll go satellite, and then it's back live at 5 a.m. or whatever. But it's interesting radio, and the satellite stuff's interesting, but it's small community radio where you can call Scotty and Polly Tuesday through Friday or Tuesday through Thursday at 1 p.m. and you can say, I want to hear Inagata Davida, and they will play Inagata Davida, which is not in their basic set lineup.
Yeah.
I'll have them play Donnie Brewer, a trop rock, a tropical rock guy, kind of like Margaritaville or something. I mean, they'll play whatever you ask them to play Monday through Tuesday through Thursday. Where can you do that? Who does that anymore?
Do you think is there much of a nostalgia effect in play? Do you think? Because when I'm there, and I stream them sometimes, but I'll go in some stores and stuff. Well, we were in that Restore.
They play it all the time. Yeah,
and they played it, and I'm listening to it play throughout the store, and I'm looking at people, And I told Rhonda, I said, it's just doesn't it? It's got such an old school feel to it.
Well, here, go down the street just about a half mile to Jensen's Tire and wash your car. And you're sitting there washing your car. And at 7:41, there's a guy that comes on and goes, "It's 7:41 in beautiful Hot Springs Village, Arkansas, the home of KVRE." That's me. See, I'm the 7:41 guy.
Right.
Typically, I usually play from 5 till about 3 a.m., something like that, as long as the live goes. And I'm also it's 56 degrees in beautiful Hot Springs, Arkansas. So anyway, yeah, I'm famous that way. No, I'm obviously, but no, it is. And I'll tell you what, and I'm going to give a plug just to throw this out to John Chapman. I'm the guy, I started off as a tech. I'm the IT tech for the radio station. And I'd always wanted, since I was a wee lass, I had always wanted to be on the radio station. And Alice has been more than gracious. As the political season heats up, they will call me. And you know why they call me, Randy? Because everybody else has cut a commercial for somebody and they don't want me to sound like some other candidate. Mm-hmm. So, for example, they don't want, Tracy to do all of the governor positions or whatever.
Right. So they go after the low demand person.
Exactly. That's me. I'm the fill-in. I'm the fill-in guy. Yeah. That's me. Well, low talent, low ability, low fill-in. That's me.
Well, if you're low demand, I'm no demand. So.
I think they will hit you this year.
So you got me beat. That's awesome.
No. But anyway, all that said, made my dreams come true. Always wanted to be on the radio. Always wanted to do that. Thought that would be a whole lot of fun.
Look at you now. Here you are.
I know. Well, in a podcast. Hello.
Yeah.
But no, they have been so gracious to me at every turn. But all that to say, the big boy, I watch the numbers. I'm the guy that watches the streaming numbers. Nobody can tell how much radio wave is absorbed. Mm-hmm. We don't know how many people, unless they fill out their little Nielsen ratings. Right. We don't know how many people are listening, but I can promise you how many people are streaming at exactly that moment. I see the demand. I see the need. I see the whatever. And Mr. John Chapman on the 40s at 4, where he plays 40s nostalgia music.
Right.
Blows through the roof every Saturday at 4 p.m. Really? Every Saturday at 4 p.m. I can watch the numbers double, triple, quadruple. Just spike through the roof.
And it's all 40s music.
Do what?
It's all 40s music.
It's all 40s music. It's Frank Sinatra. It's big band. It's jazz. And he does a lot of trivia. He does a hell of a show, frankly, is what he does. And you'll hear John on at other times too, but and I'm thrilled. And I mean, thrilled to be in this fraternity of people that they would even call on. And I mean that sincerely, because Scotty Mack has done this for 52 years. Tom has done this for 63 years. Polly has done this for 60 years. Yeah. Alice has been in this for over a decade, and she was doing other things before. Tracy's done this for 30 years. How long you been here, Dennis? About a year and a half. I show up on Tuesdays and they have me tell the weather. No, I've actually been doing it about 3 years. But my point being, I'm completely a novice compared to these people.
Multiple lifetimes worth of experience.
Oh yeah. I won't live long enough to get anywhere close to their experience. But all that said, it's a radio station like you don't hear anywhere else. It is literally a throwback, and I love it. It's hometown radio.
No, I do too. We've been tickled about the partnership, which we've had in place for a number of months now. It's just taken us a while to get off the schneid and get our act together. But hey, we're still figuring it out. So there's that.
We're not one yet. We're not even one. We shouldn't even be toddling yet.
No, well, we're not. We're weebling and wobbling is what we're doing. All right, say good night, Dennis, unless you got something else.
No, I don't. Randy, it's a pleasure working with you. Sincerely, it doesn't seem like a year in any way. It's not been a year, but it doesn't even seem like anywhere close to a year. This has been a fantastic ride. I'm glad you called.
Yeah, I'm glad I called too. No, it has been. And we're focused like crazy on you guys, the audience. You're constantly on our mind, and we're pre-thinking. I will echo what Dennis said earlier. If you've got show ideas, call us. The phone number's on the website. Our email addresses are on the website. Your feedback helps us. We appreciate the YouTube comments. We appreciate the comments on our website as well. So yeah, feel free, chime in, be heard. That's all I got.
I want to go back to one more person, one last thing, one last shout out. Now, see if he's still listening. Stephen Fitzgibbon Fitzgerald. Remember we had dinner with him the other day? We had a Coke with him the other day. Probably one of our number one fans. He is always telling us how much he appreciates the
he's our angler connection now.
He is. But he is also telling us, and number one, he likes Formula One and NASCAR, which is kind of rare in the village. I'm a Formula One guy, and it's kind of lonely here some days. A former IT tech, network engineer, great guy. I guess that's one of the things we've always talked about, Randy, too. Just
ex-military.
We've always echoed the quality of people in the village. I've not found a dull person yet. Not one person.
I think that's largely because our podcast, we attract that type.
Yeah, that's it. We attract interesting people. That's it. Yeah,
we're
or crazy ones, either one.
Yeah, we're attracting that type. No, it was great. It was great. Yeah, we had a good time.
When are you coming back, by the way? Do you know?
I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be soon. It'll be springish, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait till the weather breaks. But that could be next week. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't. I don't have anything planned. But you never know. I keep teasing Mike. Mike Varney lives in McKinney, Texas, but he's there every week. I keep teasing him. I said, I just need to come up and make a trip with you some.
Just hitch a ride, man. He's got plenty of places to stay.
I just need to hitch a ride and help him clean some units or whatever it is he does, earn my keep. So yeah. I might stow away. With
you could stow away. I don't know. It could be cold in the back of the truck, but I will make note. I
think he'd let me stay in the cab. It's a 4-door pickup.
I hadn't seen it.
I'm pretty sure it's a 4-door pickup. I think
so. You could ride up front like shotgun.
Well, I don't know if he'd let me up front, but I think he'd let me ride in the back seat and not put me in the bed of the thing.
Yeah. So let's do a shout out. Mike Varney, 5 rentals here in the village, 5 Airbnb village vacay. If you haven't had a chance,
villagevacay.com, spelled village
VACA.
VACAY.
VACAY. Yeah.
VACAY.com.
Village vacay. And I want to shout out about some of these things. Diane and I have some very modest units here on the West End that are really nice. They're very, whatever. Mike has some blow you out of the seat units. I mean, some of these things are just holy cow. Who would rent this house out? This is really nice.
Yeah, they're nice.
And he's got some really fair rates on them too. When he opens up 61 Resplendor, we're both going to apply for the. I'm going to ask him if he takes food stamps because.
I don't know that I could even pass the credit check for.
I don't know
that place, but
hopefully he won't look at that one.
Yeah, it's he's got some great properties. They're all around Lake Balboa. A couple of them are on golf courses. Does a lot to golf parties and stuff, which is cool. So yeah. Another great friend of the show.
Well, and I want to
shout out to Mike and let me hitch a ride with you sometime.
Exactly. Shout out to him and come on up some. You could stay here too. You don't have to stay at his places. Yeah. Of course, you may not want to stay here.
But. Yeah, I'll bring a sleeping bag and a pillow. I can sleep anywhere.
But I do want to make note of Village Vacay, Cindy Strait at Remax, the short-term rentals, the Remax Village Remax. And then us, and I'll tell you why, D&D Village Properties. I'll tell you what happens. If you call D&D Village Properties and we're busy, and we are busy, we are booked for March, done. And we said we wanted to mention this. Spring break is insane. And you're saying, there's going to be parties. And no, there will be families here. 99% of the time we have families. We make it. Nobody here in the village wants a party per se, and most times party people don't want to come here, so that's fine with us too. But the reason I'm saying that is because Oklahoma will have their spring break maybe the 1st or the 4th, and Arkansas will have their spring break the 3rd, and then Texas may have theirs the 2nd and the 4th. Diane and I were sitting and talking to the manager at Rolando's. Now, Rolando's, if you come to one of our establishments and one of our properties, we're going to point you to Rolando's because it's Cuban Middle American food. I'm not really much on this whole see how hot we can make it kind of thing. But this is a very savory. I'm broke. I'm not a Tex-Mex guy. I'm like, you know what? I'm probably Cubano
guy.
What?
I'm not either, but I'm a Cajun guy.
Man, I tell you what, I love that Cajun.
So
and Danny, we're shout out to Danny and
give
the
me
food
spicy.
truck
So
downtown. But
so Rolando's.
Anyway, Rolando's is a famous older restaurant here in Hot Springs, right beside the Mountain Valley Water.
And see, I don't know anything about it, so this is
we covered this. Do you not watch the 360 shows, Randy? Do you not watch these things?
I just look at the camera and act like I'm paying attention.
That's good.
Well, I forgot it.
I'll go through it real quick. Rolando's is in the basement, in the bottom level of what was the Faded Rose. It's right beside Mountain Valley Water. Mountain Valley Water, in between there is the Hot Springs Opera, was in between the two of those.
Okay.
And now Scraps Barks. Yeah. So Diane's probably home.
And we're talking about Cuban
Cubano. It's kind of middle American food.
Okay.
And man, it's just savory. It's just super savory because it you Tex-Mex, hot Mex, you can make it too hot for people and nobody likes it.
Yeah.
This stuff is so savory. It's delicious. The Pisces de Macias, the fish of the gods, is a blackened swordfish they make that has a mola on top of it. It has these big, thick chips. It's divine. But what you don't understand is there's a parking deck right beside it, a 4-story parking deck, which goes to the Aristocrat down the way. But there's a 4-story parking deck, and that 4-story parking deck used to be the Hot Springs Opera till 1962 when they tore it down. Right behind that is the Sunset Trail, which you can walk through the National Forest. So if you park on the top level of that parking deck, which there's no fee or anything, you can get out and walk down over to the Mountain Valley Water World Headquarters. You can walk out the back to get up on the Sunset Trail, or you can walk to the left and walk to the patio, the top patio of Rolando's. And when you walk in Rolando's, the 3rd floor of Rolando's is an honest to God, turn of the century speakeasy. It was a speakeasy. And I'll tell you why. Because when you walk in the 1st floor and you walk over to the side, it looks like a 15-foot wide stairwell that goes up a flight of stairs, right? Wrong. It goes up 2 flight of stairs.
Oh, okay.
Because you passed the 2nd flight, because the 2nd flight wasn't in the same.
Yeah.
Long in the story, short of the story, you would come into the restaurant, walk up the set of stairs, and you would be on the 3rd. Joe sent me speakeasy level on the 3rd level. Right. And then you could go out a door into the Hot Springs Opera, get into the opera, take a drink in there, or come from the opera and get a drink and go back. Anyway, Rolando's is an amazing piece of history. But we were talking to the manager there on a late January night, and she was like, yeah, it's really slow now, and it's be slow through probably the last week of February. But from February to the end of October, we won't be able to see ourselves coming and going. And I'm like, what do you mean? She said, well, they're out there right now. They've got a patio on the back. I'm not exaggerating, people. The patio on the back, the walls of the patio are the national forest, or the national park. If you touch the wall, that's the national park. And there are raccoons that will come down the trees and chitter at you if you don't give them a chip. I'm not making this up. And like,
we need video of that.
Oh, well, I think I have some. But I mean, if you don't give them a chip, they'll squawk.
We need to have the brain trust of Rolando's on the show, too.
You know what? We do. And I mean, well, Rolando's is actually based out of Fort Smith, and they have another one in Fayetteville, but they built their first one here. Anyway, it's just a fantastic restaurant. We won't hold it. And they make the best mojitos on the planet. It is literally to die for. I mean, literally to die for. And this lady was just telling us that, it doesn't really heat up till the last week of February, but the patio and the raccoons and all this out back, they will be slammed.
So what you're saying to people that are watching, if you're trying to book something for this month, the month of March, you're out of luck.
If you're looking for something in the Village for March, you probably need to try and find a hotel room.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to call me, and I'll call Cindy, and we'll go through Mike Varney, and we'll go through every option possible, because we have everything from a 1-bedroom we have here to what Mike has 5 and 6 bedroom units. Right. That said, for golfers typically, but that said, man, this month is this would be equivalent to August or September.
Okay, so to reach you, the website for D&D Properties is
ddvillageprop.com. DD as in Dennis and Diana, villageprop.com.
And for Mike Varney, who's got 4 houses that'll sleep.
Five. Village Vacay, Village VACAY, and great properties. I'm impressed. And I'm a competitor.
Yep.
Wow, he's got great properties.
Yeah, and then Cindy Straight at Remax.
And Cindy's looking down the barrel of probably the better part of 45 properties.
People
or
can
50
find
properties.
her by going to
they can go to villageshorttermrentals.com, villageshorttermrentals.com, or go to Remax, Remax Hot Springs Village, and they are happy to point you there. Now, Cindy books a lot of people and fills a lot of people, but at that same time, we all work together.
Right.
You know, nobody has as many uses as Cindy by any stretch, Cindy and Clara, but you know, what do you need? Do you need a 1-bedroom? Do you need a 5-bedroom? Well, do you need something with, you know, and for example, like for Mike's properties, and I talked about for golf, well, you know, there's a lot of golf guys that don't want to share a bed and they don't want to share a bedroom. They'd like to have 5 rooms and 5 baths and a really nice hotel, basically, is what it boils down to. So there's a wide variety. And I will tell you, at DD Village Prop, we have some great resources, but what you really want to see is the live lake view camera. So you can check at the weather and go, ooh, high wind today, or wow, it's beautiful, or whatever. ddvillageprop.com, live lake view camera.
Yep.
Randy, I have talked way too long tonight.
Yeah, I know it. All right. Say good night, Dennis.
Good night, Dennis. Good night, Randy. Appreciate you recording, buddy.
All right, man. We appreciate you listening. Subscribe, tell a friend. See ya. Thanks for listening to another episode of Hot Springs Village Inside Out, a podcast where Hot Springs Village, Arkansas is the star. Please subscribe to the podcast. You can do that by visiting our website, hsvinsideout.com, and tell a friend.